Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live. Today we're going to talk about swimming, but I will also be taking questions about anything on tactical fitness, um, probably for next 45 minutes or so. So get your questions in, happy to answer them. I'm going to be showing some videos of people asking for my critique, and but before we do, going to let you guys congregate on here while I talk a little bit about a question that I realize I missed yesterday about someone asking about swimming with scuba fins and getting used to them. Um, it's very common to have cramps, especially in your feet and your shins, calves, even in your hamstrings. Might even feel it in your hip flexors a little bit if you're kicking right. Um, so don't despair. It is something you can get used to, and it is really two things. One, mobility of your ankles will make your kick pain free. It takes about a month. And then the conditioning of getting your legs into constant flutter kicking, mid-range scissor kicks, not too big of a scissor kick, but like a good. I tend to call them bigger flutter kicks than scissor kicks because they're not quite as big as a scissor kick, but they're not quite as small as a little flutter kick like you do in freestyle. So kind of a mid-range flutter kick, very similar to when you lay on your back and you do flutter kicks, you know, 4 count flutter kicks. So the trick is swim as much as you can on what we do this on leg days. So we'll do a leg day on Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll swim with fins on that leg day, and then we'll do another leg day, um, probably Thursday or Friday, depending on when we did legs earlier in the week. And then sometimes, depending on the activity, we may not do a leg day, but we will do a third swim with fins, but we usually mix it in with a run and a ruck, which we call the Spec Ops Triathlon. In fact, we're doing a Spec Ops Triathlon coming up. Let me see. First week of, I think we're going first week of August. So should be fun. It's a 4 mile run, 4 mile ruck, 1 mile swim with fins, and yeah, it's always a good time. And we may even throw in um, some boats and logs in there as well, just for extra credit. You don't have to do it, but you can take one of the miles of your ruck and carry a boat, or one of your miles of the ruck and carry a log. Just making it a little bit harder than previous sessions. Let's see. Yeah, but anyway, that's it. You just got to get used to it. It takes about a month working on your mobility, very similar to treading. A lot of times people can't tread properly because they lack the mobility in their hips, knees, and ankles. So they can't even produce a powerful enough kick in an effective manner to keep them up above the surface. They don't quite understand what the egg beater is, or their scissor kick is ineffective. So you got to add a little bit more uh, training in there, but you also need to add in some mobility training. Flexibility and mobility of those hips, knees, and ankles are very key to you being able to produce a powerful kick that keeps you up. All right. So, if you read the description in this video, on YouTube anyway, might be up on the Facebook too, my Facebook channels. Uh, I put in a pretty decent description with about 3 very common questions about swimming with fins. A lot of them have to do with what kind of fins. Um, a lot of questions come in like that. I kind of picked 3 very common questions. So one of what kind of fins, another one was why do my feet and legs hurt when I swim with fins? Just takes time. And I think the other one is just about distance and how many days a week I should train with fins. I personally recommend every leg day you swim with fins. So you do leg days a couple days a week, you should be swimming with fins that day. It's a great way to top off your leg day. And you'll be glad you did. Because there are people who show up at Bud's Prep, and this is going to sound shocking to you. Let me know if you think this sounds shocking. People show up to Bud's Prep and they have never swum with fins on before. And it's something we do every leg day, right? It'd be like skipping leg day and not, and trying to go do a bodybuilding competition. It's that ridiculous. So let's take some questions if you have them, and we can chat a little bit about what's going on. In fact, if I don't see any questions, I'll just go ahead right into sharing some videos that I have pulled up here. So I sent some to myself on Instagram. So let's see what we have here. See if I can slow this guy down. All right. There we go. So let's see this. What's going on here? Looks like he has good kick off the wall, transitions into that stroke pretty well. And got a top. Ooh, that's a weird top arm. My advice is that's one reason why I like to rotate over a little bit. If you guys saw that top arm there, if you see that top arm, okay, that wasn't too bad. Let's see this one. There you go. So you see that's just one of those things that occurs when you're kind of laying on your side a little too much, and then when you pull, your arm is just skimming the surface. It's not really grabbing a lot of water. So what I like to do instead of being on my side is rotating over just about 45-degree angle, and that gets my shoulder underwater, and it also allows me to grab water like a freestyle catch and really pull and push it behind me. So I go in the other direction. So he missed some water on that basically and didn't pull it very well. He does a little bit better on some of the others. Didn't do it then. But you can see, at least he's pulling and pushing properly. But I think his angle is just a little off that's making that pull a little weak. Overall, this isn't bad. This is a 50-second 50, so I'm really nitpicking him. This is another thing I don't think this is a nitpicky thing, is notice all these flutter kicks he does every stroke. I mean, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Right. So he's just constantly kicking, and it does tire you out, especially if you're not very good at flutter kicking. So I would recommend one big scissor kick, hold the glide, and actually be a little more efficient with it. You'll find yourself not winded as much if you just take out those little flutter kicks. And that's really important, especially to you non-swimming athletes, because what happens to the non-swimming athlete is they probably never really learned how to kick properly in the first place. So my advice for you is just, get your kick good, but don't waste a lot of energy adding in a whole bunch of extra kicks thinking it's going to make you faster when it's really just going to make you more tired and tire out your hips. So when you do sit-ups, that's just going to start, hitting those hip flexors more. Then when you try to run, you're just going to be legs are going to be tired from having done another 75, 80 extra kicks in that swim, and it adds up. And you're burning a lot of energy, glycogen right out of those leg muscles where you're going to bonk on that run. So you got to think more about this PST than just a swim and put all your eggs in one basket on the swim. You got to save some energy for everything else. So it is all about conservation of energy on this. All right, no questions. We can keep on moving to the see if I can make this bigger. Why can't I? There we go. Oh, that's way too big. We'll see if we can do that though. All right. So this next one I'm going to show you guys is my buddy who's an academy grad, retired firefighter, and he always likes it when I critique his stroke. But he gives me hope for my next decade and a half because I think he's class of 78. I'm 91. So he's what, 12, 13 years older than I am. So it's always fun to see what these guys are doing 10 years ahead of me because I know I'll be there one day. I want to be getting after it. But this is him. Look at him. He's getting ready to kick off that wall like a madman. Look at him. Boom. All right. So I love it. Oh, see that broach right there? Not good. Whenever you do that, that's just like putting on the brakes. So stay underwater during that transition. And you can see he slowed down significantly as he transitioned into the stroke. So try to keep your back underwater whenever you do that breaststroke pullout. Or if you just can't do it, skip the breaststroke pullout and kick off the wall hard and just go right into the stroke. I'd rather you see that and maintain momentum than lose all your momentum just because you want to try an extra arm pull. All right, so let's see what we got here. We got top arm, bottom arm, kick, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. There we go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. This isn't too bad. You do come up to the surface a lot, and I know you're pretty lean, so I'm not sure how this is going to affect you. If you can stay underwater just a little longer, and then and then try to glide just a little longer. I think your kick is pretty good, but if you notice after the kick, you don't go very far. Like I try to get people like to get a yard, maybe at least a body length on that kick and glide. If you look at where the lane lines are going, I think that just the surface tension's just slowing you down on the glide. So try to get underwater just a little bit more. So not bad. That's pretty good there, my friend. Let me see. Next one, I'll pull up and get ready. All right. So let me see. Bob asks how to avoid calf cramps when swimming with fins. Yeah, you're the question that I missed yesterday. Yeah, I kind of talked a little bit about that beforehand. Has a lot to do with your mobility in the ankles. And, if you're not relaxing your ankles whenever you're kicking, that means you're probably flexing your calves when you're kicking. So you got to relax your ankles and just let them go. So if you can, be in a ballerina point almost and have a relaxed ankle and less flexed calf, that's going to help. So your ankle mobility is key to that. Then everything else is the same. It's how much water you're drinking, how much electrolytes you've had with it. Otherwise, it's going to be cramping is going to occur regardless if you're swimming or running. So you definitely have to stay on top of your hydration and electrolytes. And that's your primary concern. Your secondary concern, I would say, is, stretch. Something I used to do when I'd catch a cramp, and it's very common, is you just grab the top of the fin and pull back on that fin, to stretch your calf while you're, sitting in the water. I've seen it happen many times. Some guys that just stop, stretch out their calves a little bit, and then keep on going. It happens. So it's not one of those things that you have to worry about it drowning you. It's just a calf cramp. You stretch it out, you keep on going. Use your hands, right? A lot of people will um, kick a little less sometimes and wind up pulling a little more with their arms as well. So that's another option to you. I don't recommend doing that. It's hard to get through surf like that. In a pool, it's not a big deal, but in open water, it could be a very big deal. So there you go. All right, I'm going to share another video. And I will pull this guy up. There we go. Look at that. That looks good. Nice. All right. So, let's see. Kick off the wall. Good. Little double arm roll. Like, you see what he just did there? He did not do the breaststroke pullout. Now, I will say this. This is probably about 350 into his 500-yard swim. And I think he got like an 840 on this one. So he's doing pretty well. Sub 9 swimmer. So he's probably a little winded, and sometimes it's easier to just drop that double arm pull and transition into the stroke just to get an extra breath if you need it. You don't necessarily need to do it every length of the pool, but you can. All right, big deep breath. Come on, turn around a little quicker. Yep, he skips his breaststroke pullouts. Top arm, bottom arm, kick, pull, breathe, kick, glide. Let me see what he's gliding here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Yeah, that's good. Now he's looking really good here. All right. Not bad at all. And that is a 52 second 50, which he maintained that pretty much the whole time, which will get you an 840 every time. So there you go. Nice day. All right, next question here. Is there any breathing drills you could recommend? I have days that I can swim forever and days that I feel hypoxic after 100 meters. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Huh. I'd be honest with you, I don't know. It could be if you have days where your conditioning is good, take a look at what you ate and drank prior to that swim session. If you're having a day where it's really bad, take a look at what you ate and drank prior to that swim session. So it could be one of two things. It could be a caffeinated increased heart rate going into it. Sometimes if I have, unsweet iced tea going into a run or a swim, I can feel like my heart is 10, maybe 15 points elevated than it should be when I'm jogging at a certain pace or swimming at a certain pace. Could be caffeine related. Could also be lack of food related, and you're just kind of bonking a little bit, and now you're working harder. You're getting a little tired, so you just don't have the energy to be able to maintain that swim pace. I don't really have any breathing drills other than what we do, right? If you look at all of our swim workouts, there's breathing drills in all of them. I mean, you can do freestyle and breathe every 6 to 8 strokes. You can do the 50-50 workout. You can turn that into 100 hundreds. Another one I like to do is a 75 really hard CSS with fins, and then roll over on my back for 25, and that is my rest doing a turtleback but I'm working my legs and I'm catching my breath the whole time. My face is out of the water. I'm just laying back, flutter kicking. And that's a really good active rest for constantly swimming. And then, you put hundreds of those together, 75, 25 is 100 yards or meters, and you're still able to do it in a minute 30, minute 40. So you're still under that yard per second range. Next thing you know, you've done 500 and like 820, 830. You've done, 1,000 and 16, 17 minutes. You've hit 2,034 minutes. It's a good way to just work on your conditioning and push hard on those 75s and then catch your breath with the 25s. See if that helps. That's a good little drill I like to do. All right, Okinawa. Good to see you. Thanks for listening. What time is it out there in Okinawa? It's 9:47 a.m. East Coast time. Imagine out there, what, about 12 hours difference? So 9:30 in the evening, maybe 9:45. Just curious. Let's see. I think I showed this guy before. Let me see if I got another one to show. All right. Gonna share one more here. I think I posted this one because I liked it. It was a really good one yesterday. All right. Make it a little bigger. Okay, so let me share this last one. Nice work, Kia. So 22:47. So we're like 13 hours, right? 11, 11 hours. Yeah. Depending on which way you're looking at it. All right. So let me share my Instagram page. All right. So here we go. Kicks off the wall. Good tight streamline. I think this is pretty good. Also, notice these shorts. These shorts do, I swear, make you faster. They're just jammers that I've seen drop 20, 30 seconds off a person's swim just by changing your shorts. All right, so good kick off the wall, good double arm pull. Yeah, I mean, he's getting halfway across the pool. This guy's got a good strong kick too. Like a little, notice he uses a breaststroke kick version versus the scissor kick. So top arm, bottom arm, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Yeah, that's smooth. And he swam a 740 yesterday because we did a PST day yesterday, and this guy swam a 740. And I think his times were like 46, 47 seconds every lap, which as long as you're under 48 every lap, you're going to break 8 minutes. So yeah, I really don't have a lot to fix on this one. You can't argue with the results. A guy swims 740 and he does it with, there's 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes, 5, and yeah, give him 5 strokes. Yeah. I think it doesn't get much better than that. And this is a non-swimming athlete too. I mean, this guy's a rugby player, learned how to put some strokes together. Next thing you know, he is breaking 8 minutes on a swim. It's got a nice glide. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Yes. Yeah, that's just good stuff right there. Nice. All right, those are the 4 videos that I was going to share with you guys. If you have more, you can DM me to my Stu Smith Fitness Instagram page. Just DM me there, and I'll get them because I'm sitting here on that right now. So I just DM these to myself. Figured I'd go through them. But if you got anything right now you want to DM me, StuSmith50 is my Instagram. If you want to do that, I'll be happy to do another one if we have time and fewer questions. Hoping to PCS soon. Turned down at Marsoc A&S. I met the standard, but I was a weak swimmer compared to the dudes who made it at the end of the phase 1. I was invited to come back since I didn't see phase 2. All right, cool, good job. They aren't stroke Nazis in terms of form, but they only let me use breaststroke. I can kill the pool with the CSS, but my breaststroke feels a lot slower. You know what? I suck at breaststroke. It's a shame they won't let you use side stroke. Now, are you using what's the distance you doing for that one? 500 meters with camis or without camis? I know Recon does camis. What do you guys do now for the ANS for Marsoc? Is it camis or no camis? Yeah, I suck at breaststroke. Now, I will say this: I have seen guys do side stroke for Recon in their camis. They do side stroke and breaststroke combos. So I'm not sure if it's an inconsistency or if maybe they were just making everybody do something that is, identical. I don't know. 300 meters is the assessment. Got it. In camis or without camis? Because that's not bad. 300 with camis still sucks, but without camis, it's not that bad. Doesn't take very long to get in shape for 300 meters. In fact, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that in 5 minutes. However, breaststroke will probably slow you down. And if you're in camis, it would slow you down significantly. Yeah, so let me know. Is that cami or non-cami? To my knowledge, it's not camis. I just want to get a confirmation. In camis, no boots. Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah, it's very similar to the Ranger one. Ranger's 500. Have you tried that selection yet? Or that screener that they do on weekends? That's a good screener. You'll definitely be treading. You'll be picking up weight at the bottom. Treading in your camis is pretty tough. And swimming in your camis is even harder. I did put a video of that in the, see if I can find it. I think it's in my reels. Definitely on my TikTok, but sometimes I'll put it over on my reels too. Let me see here. Let me show you this guy swimming. He's kind of using a breaststroke kick, but he's doing a side stroke with this one. So it may not be what you're looking for. Let me see if I can find that real quick because I would like to show you with camis. I think this is it. Nope. Let's see. Huh, maybe I didn't share it. All right, I did not. It's on my TikTok. I know you guys can't use TikTok on your phones if you're in the military. Or you're not supposed to. I'm not sure how that works. However, if you don't like the you don't want to get the app, you can just go to the website and you will see the videos. Like I'm on my desktop computer. I don't have the app on my computer, but I have the URL pulled up, tiktok.com. In fact, it's right here, tiktok.com/@StuSmith50. That is my TikTok website, but check this out. Let me just share this one with you real quick and see what you think. So this is swimming with camis. Oh, oh man, just where'd you go? Swimming with camis. Here we go. All right. So if you notice, he's basically doing the breaststroke, just breathing on his side. And he's actually really fast. Like he's doing a breaststroke kick with a freestyle pull and a CSS breath. So if you can only do breaststroke, then you got to alter this just a little bit. But my advice is, because breaststroke is so common, CSS is not. It's really hard to kind of learn the CSS. My advice is take swimming lessons from somebody who's really good at the breaststroke, and they'll help you, because it's a whole lot of hip, knees, and ankles that's going to make that kick powerful. Like, notice this right here. He's got a real powerful kick, and then he's got a nice little dolphin kick mixed with his top arm pull. This guy's a competitive swimmer, so he did that in like a minute. So his 50-yard swim in camis is a minute long, which, uh, you put that together. If he's able to maintain that pace, he is going to get his 300 in about, what's that? 1, 2, 6 minutes. Yeah. All right. Let's see what kind of questions we got. Let's see. Still a Marine. I don't plan on reenlisting in the Marine Corps unless I get selected to go to ITC. So it's probably going to be Army strong in about 2 years. I get it. That happens. I know a lot of people who have gotten out and joined the Army and become Green Berets just because it's the big green machine, man. They have so many slots available for the Green Beret candidate, but just as good training and hard training. I mean, it's legit. And then you can even take it up a notch, after Ranger or SF, and maybe even try Delta over there. Yeah, you can't have TikTok on government devices. Yeah. Okay. So in reality, nothing changed. Everybody has their own phone. Okay, that's cool. I don't know why anyone is installing anything that isn't work related on a government phone. And even, yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah. Follow me on TikTok. I got a whole bunch of videos over there. It's just an easy one-stop shop for um for CSS stuff. Unfortunately, I don't do a lot of breaststroke critiques. And I have a few guys that I are Marines that I work with. They have been they were Raiders, and for some reason I knew breaststroke was an option, but I also thought CSS or side stroke was an option too. So I think I drag a lot more on the breaststroke. Yeah, we all do. My advice is just take swimming lessons. I'm telling you. You're only going to get better by someone who knows how to teach breaststroke, and work on those. In fact, if you work on these mobility drills, which I'm putting a link in right now, they will improve your breaststroke. So it's basically the frog pose, and you try to go up vertical on a frog pose. And what you'll find is that's going to be the exact power kick with your hips, knees, and ankles getting involved and making that hardcore power on that kick. But you need to have the mobility in order to get full 100% out of that kick. So it might be a mobility issue why you're dragging yourself a little bit. It's also the camis too, but you're going to have to kick a little harder. But you can see this guy, he's got a breaststroke kick, and that thing works for him. So give that a shot. Yeah. Understand. Um, Sir, I come from a bodybuilding background. I currently weigh 220, 6'1". Still have pretty good cardio, 7-minute or 7 mile sub 8:30. Would losing excess mass help my cardio? Yes, absolutely. It just makes calisthenics and cardio easier. That's all. I mean, if you think about what gravity is doing to you, it is just it's pulling down on you more than the 200-pound guy. And being 6 feet, 6'1", you could definitely get away with 195, 200, be ripped, and um, still have plenty of muscle mass to do all your lifts and high rep calisthenics and even better cardio. Because I was about the same. I was about like 215, 220, about the same height. Got down to 195, went to buds. Took a couple of years to prepare for that, and that was my background as well in my early teens, and then that turned into football and powerlifting. So I never really did a lot of bodybuilding after those first early teen years when that was really all that was out there in the 80s, doing workouts that Arnold did and Joe Weider. Let's see. Honestly, from hearing friends who went through TDY to SFAS, it seems like it's less of a gentleman's course compared to MARSOC. I think a lot of personal responsibility is emphasized at ANS, but that is all anecdotal. Um, yeah, I mean it's still a hard course. I could understand how MARSOC would be a little more of a, you're not getting shit on because you've been a Marine for years. You're already in shape. They know that. They just want to see you perform some different skills at a high level. Maybe that's swimming, maybe that's treading, you're shooting and moving, you're communicating, your teamwork. All of those come into play, when you're going through those MARSOC or any SOCOM program. They do the same thing with the Army SF guys, but it's a little bit of a beatdown. At the same time, though, you're not getting a lot of negative feedback or any feedback. They're just taking notes, right? And you never know if you're doing well or if you're doing poorly, right? That's another level of mental stress that they can put on you just by not telling you how crappy you're doing. At Buds, they will tell you every single minute how crappy you're doing, even if you're not doing crappy. Yeah. Thanks for the advice, Stu. You and powerlifting are probably the reason I put on 50 good pounds from being lanky recruit at the School of Infantry. Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. Kia, you see that? Um, or I should say, Big Boy. Kia has a comment for you over there. I'm not going to worry about reading it. Let's move on to the next. Hey, Stu, my 24, fresh out of college with a double major. That's good. Everyone's calling me stupid for wanting to be an enlisted SEAL. What do you think? Um, yeah, I'm not one of those guys. I have seen people with college degrees enlist. In fact, there are, well, I don't know, 70% of the enlisted SEALs have college degrees. Last I checked. Um, so it is definitely uh, a common thing to do is to have a college degree. Then you can go and, um, if you want to become an officer later, you always could. So I get it. It's you're not going to be leading people, but you're going to be learning some very valuable skills. You're going to learn what to do and what not to do as a leader. So it's almost, think of it kind of like a 3 or 4 year internship if you really want to become an officer one day, but you want to do the enlisted route first. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't tell you how many people have done that. Now, there's another side of that coin too that says, yeah, you've done all this training and spent all this money for college, and maybe you had some leadership experiences in there, and you might be a good candidate for an officer, but you might not be. Yeah, right. So it really depends on the individual. I don't make blanket statements saying every college degree person needs to try out for officer, because I've seen college degree people not be good leaders and they'd have no business leading. Um, but I've also seen college, people who chose to go officer with a college degree not be good leaders and they had no business doing that option. So, it's a coin toss, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be one of those guys that call you stupid for wanting to enlist with a college degree. Whatever floats your boat, right? My opinion is, if you want to become an officer, you can do it one of those two ways. Enlist first, become become an officer later. You can go in as an officer, go through SOAS. It does increase the training pipeline because there's another year basically of preparing for SOAS and all your enlistment or your paperwork that you have to do just to become an officer. So if you have time, the officer route might be good. Or if you need more time and to train, the officer route may be a wise decision. Um, I will say this though, whatever you do, don't even consider joining or, you know, until you're crushing that PST. You should be crushing that PST, and then when you take the PST, whether you're an officer or enlisted candidate, you want to do really well and then put yourself, foot in the door for the next level of, programming, so that you can actually have time to train to get through SOAS if you're an officer, which is just a week long of buds, and buds if you're the enlisted option. So there's a couple different routes that you go. I see probably, I don't know, 40 guys going to SOAS every year, but I also see about 100 guys going enlisted every year. Half of those guys have college degrees. I'm not, it's not for everybody. And to be quite honest with you, they need officers a tenth of what they need enlisted guys for. So consider that. It's harder to get into the officer program than it is the enlisted process. And then you can, you know, learn how to do it. Let's see. Thank you. Also, I'm about 165. Should I gain weight? Um, Depends on your height. If you're fairly short, 165 is not horrible. Um, I've seen guys probably in the 180 to 185 range is about average. Just it's going to help you with some durability issues under the log. It's also going to help you stay warm. At 5'11", yeah, I'd probably get up to like 180, 185. Muscle, not I mean, you could use some bulk too. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to not see all 6 or 8 of your abs. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to need some body fat just to stay warm. All right. But yeah, officer or enlisted, it's up to you. You're just going to have to ask yourself which one you want more. Be honest with you. That's a tough decision to have. Jeff Nichols and I did a show on the podcast about going officer or enlisted. He was enlisted guy for 12, 13 years. I went officer route, stayed in for 8. Um, so um, you know, check that one out. It's on this YouTube page, but you can probably also find it on in fact, let me do this. Officer or in fact, I bet you I've written an article about it. I know I have. Officer enlisted Navy SEAL Stu Smith. I got my opinions out there. So this one's an article on military.com. Check that out. Also, if I'm right, yep. Jeff Nichols and I did this a while back ago. Tactical Fitness Report number 29. And we've done 200 others since then. So check out those 2 links I just put um, into the comment section. Yeah, you don't want to lose any speed, but it's not like you're heavy. I was 195 going through buds and plenty fast. Wasn't like winning races on running, but I was still top 15, 20%. As an officer, you have one chance at buds. Is that correct? I guess he's asking with a question mark. That meaning if you get to buds and you quit, you don't get a second chance. There have been some officers that had a second chance. But reason why is they were very good candidates and they took them. So that's not written in stone about being able to go back. In fact, I've seen people go back to SOAS a couple of times and do better the second time and get selected. So you can do that if you're an OCS candidate. You can't do it if you're an ROTC or Naval Academy candidate. And I'll tell you this, though, if you're enlisted, chances of going back is not promised at all. In fact, it's very difficult to go back because let's say you get dropped from buds for whatever, you quit or you get injured or you failed to meet the standard, whatever. Now you go into the Navy, and chances are they're going to send you to a place that needs people, right? You got this job nobody wants. Let's send this guy to it because now he needs to finish his enlisted contract doing this job. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you get your choice. It's just the way it works sometimes. They try to help you, but sometimes it's just the way it is. Now, 2 years later, a year and a half later, let's say you've been doing everything really well. You're a great candidate to go back. You got great PST scores. You put your paperwork up. You got chain of command supporting you. But guess what? The year group's full, right? So you join in 2021. Guess what? They don't need anybody who joined the Navy in 2021. And your rate, your job in the Navy's not going to let you go because they're undermanned. You're not going back. Seen it way too many times. Everybody thinks they got a chance to go back again. They don't. Chances are you're not going back. If you go back a second time, you are really lucky that everything met perfectly to make that happen. I'm 6'8", one way, 156. Is that good? I think that's a little small. But, what do I know? That's my opinion. Um, you're going to be 40 pounds lighter than, the average. I'd say maybe 30 pounds lighter than the average guy. You think that makes a difference under a boat and a log? It does, depending on your strength. If you have some strength at that 156 body, it probably won't matter. right? Because you pound for pound, you're strong, right? I've seen 150-pound wrestlers, I've seen 140-pound wrestlers go through buds and crush it because they were fast, they were strong, and they were a unicorn because they could also swim. Um, but they froze their ass off because you're just cold all the time. But they were tough enough to get through that. So everybody's going to have a weakness. You just have to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? A log in a boat could crush me, right? I'm going to be fast. I need to learn how to swim faster. Obstacle course is going to be easy at 156. So there's so many different areas. I can't just say, is that good? Because are you strong enough? Are you fast enough? Can you swim? Doesn't really matter. Let's see. One last question. How does smokeless tobacco affect performance? I can't tell if this is a bad habit. Oh, it's a bad habit. I would avoid it just for dental mouth cancer purposes. Um, is it affecting your performance? I don't know. Giving you bad breath. Try to stop it. What is crushing the PST? I would say if you can swim under 9 minutes, run under 9 minutes, do 80 to 100 push ups and sit ups, and do 20 pull ups. That is crushing the PST. And if you notice, those are scores that are better than the competitive scores that the Navy puts out. But I'm just telling you, guys that do really well out there are crushing the PST with those kind of standards. And then they're doing even better with 4-mile timed runs and 2-mile swims with fins. And they're lifting and doing a lot of lunges with weight, to get ready for walking lunges with a log. They're building up their neck to get ready for logs, boats on heads. In fact, I wrote a new article. You guys check out my latest article at Stu Smith Fitness. In fact, this is important enough to share. So this is my website. You guys see that? Stu Smith Fitness. And if you see on a phone, these are all drop down menus, but hit the articles section right here. And you'll see a great article on something we came up with this week. And it's about building neck strength for boats and logs. And it's really as simple as yes and no and side to side on your back, and then roll over on your belly, do the same thing. Next thing you know, you've spent 6 minutes doing it. It's called 6-minute necks. And then you try to build up to 12 minutes and 15 minutes and see what you can do. So there's a lot more to it than just the PST, but crushing it is first. And that's what this baby does right here. Helps you crush the PST. I find myself throwing in a lip before time. Ugh, doesn't affect me during the run other than relaxing me. And I think I've read online that it does affect recovery. I don't know, be honest with you. Something that I never even considered as part of a recovery process, good or bad. Struggling to increase my push-ups. Do you have any recommendations on how to breathe during push-ups? I've been holding my breath for the first. Yeah, you shouldn't hold your breath at all. Just get in a rhythm of breathing, just like you're jogging. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 push-ups inhale, 3 or 4 push-ups exhale. Yeah, holding your breath is not the right answer. What logo is on my shirt? Word of Honor Foundation. You guys check it out. see if I can find it for you. Word of Honor Fund. So you guys can see it here. It's created by a former Spec Ops guy. Family support. You can see what it's all about. So, the guy who turned me on to it is a Gold Star son. His father was a SEAL who passed away, and they do a lot of nice things for Gold Star kids and families. So, and other things too. So check it out. With your experience, does the Navy PST do 25-yard pulls or 50-yard pulls, or it depends? Yeah, it's one of those it depends things. Really depends on throughout the nation where the Navy can find a pool to give fitness tests. I've seen it in 25-yard pools. I've seen it in 25-meter pools. I've also seen it in 50-meter pools and even 50-yard pools. So it depends on how that pool is set up. Is it on long course? Is it on short course? So many different issues that come into it, and it can change from week to week, month to month. Just be able to do wherever they show you. If it's in a pond, be able to pass it in a pond. Doesn't matter. Not that I've ever seen it in a pond, but you get what I'm talking about. Let's start one last question. How quickly do you recommend I drop from 220 to 190? I mean, don't be in a hurry. I mean, if you want to do it well, you'll probably drop 2 to 3 pounds a week, right? And that's going to be a combination of working out, a little more cardio, along with a little less eating. Basically, stop eating like a power lifter and maybe go with some more fruits and vegetables, drop some muscle mass even. You're going to have to do that if you're lean. How does one increase their stride length? I don't know. I guess by stretching. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I mean, if you have a really short stride, you need to open it up a little. But if you overstride, you're going to probably be heel striking, and it's like running with the brakes on. So you need to have somebody watch you run who understands running. Maybe go get a gait analysis done at a shoe store and just have them tell you, is my stride too short? Is it too long? What kind of shoes work best for my stride? It's what I would do. Because if you feel like you're not maximizing your strides with your run, that's one thing. Knowing for sure you are is another, right? Actually get some feedback on somebody. Or if you don't want to do that, set your phone up and watch yourself run on a treadmill and see what that looks like. Compare it to somebody who runs really efficiently. So there you go. Whoo! All right. Well, that was fun. I think I am going to have to call it quits. If I missed your question, you can send it to me at stu@stusmith.com. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you guys do, punch that like button for me. Thing runs on likes. And for me saying thanks for you listening, go to stusmithfitness.com. Use the coupon code LIVE15. Save 15%. Books on ebooks. It's something. Not a whole lot, but it's something. And don't forget, check out the Instagram, TikTok page if you're looking for CSS stuff. The CSS is all over my reels on Instagram, StuSmith50, and my TikTok is just nothing but CSS critiques. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for you. Long before there was TikTok and Facebook and all that, there was YouTube, and I used to put up a lot of CSS critiques on YouTube. They're pretty old videos, but they're still useful. You can see some of them, and you can find them right here on YouTube as well. All right. So anyway, I got to go. You guys have a good day, and I will see you next week.